It is Wednesday. Let me know if the sound levels are fine. Oh, hello. Thought I'd pause that. Skills. Right, it's Wednesday. Gonna make some noise. So today, the only noise-making thing on the desk, well, that's turned on, is this little grey thing in front of me here. So gonna look at M8 Headless. So this is a Teensy 4.1, which is a tiny little circuit board with a chip on it. Has a USB plug on one end, micro USB annoyingly, and then an SD card slot on the other. And basically you can download hang on, I'll show you what it looks like. I've got a photo. If it works. Hang on. There we go. Basically you can download a version of the software from the Dirty Wave M8 called M8 Headless, and then you can flash it to this board onto the chip as using a thing called Titles, and then you plug it into your computer, and you have to run a client or a piece of software on the computer, and it talks to it, and then you basically have access to the M8 software. It also does work with like retro gaming handheld Chinese things. I've got one. It's quite fun actually. I'm enjoying it just as a games thing. I haven't really played games for a long time, but yeah. Also works that. I believe that's mildly controversial because I think they first released, or maybe I don't know if controversial is the right word. I think they first released a headless software so people could try it before buying the actual Dirty Wave M8, and then clever people figured out you could use it with handhelds, and so built various almost knockoffs of an M8. Using it with a handheld versus getting the physical Dirty Wave products, there's no audio or MIDI TRS in and out obviously on the handheld. I believe you can do USB MIDI via a script, but I haven't tested that yet. So for the client, I'm going to run it through the PC today, and for the client today there's a web-based M8 client, which I'm not going to lie isn't perfect, or I've done something to my Teensy. I don't know, something's gone wrong already, but I'll show you the problems that I've got in a minute. But it works. It does the job. I might just need to refresh the browser at a certain point. So when you load it up, you essentially get this interface. So down in the bottom right hand corner, you've got the menu, SCPIT, and basically you use your keyboard to move around. There's only 8 buttons. You've got the 4 arrow keys, you've got shift, which is shift obviously, the spacebar's play, and then you've got Z and X, which are edit and option. So you can move, basically the building blocks of a song or of a composition are, you have instruments, which can be, let's create a new one. Hang on. I've got a project loaded at the moment, but I'll get rid of it in a minute and we'll start again. So you've got instruments which can be a wave synth, macro synth, sampler, FM synth, hypersynth, MIDI. External input if you're obviously running the actual M8 thing. It might even work with USB audio over the handheld, but I don't know. Oh, and it probably does external in via USB or via the computer if I wanted to try that, but yeah. So you've got various instruments, and I believe you might be able to add your own. And then the building blocks of your composition are, you have phrases which are 16 steps long, and then you can chain those 16 steps. You can chain various phrases together to create chains, and then you build songs out of different chains. And then there's 8 audio tracks within the song to work with. The issue I'm having with using this web client, and I need to maybe download one of the other clients you can get to see if it's just the issue with this, is you might notice there's a mix, so that's the top level. There's also tables, tables, I believe you can chain instruments. I think. I can't remember, I haven't looked into tables yet. Apparently they're quite powerful, and so you can do clever stuff with tables, chaining instruments and effects. So below and above that standard menu, you've got various other things that go off of it. At the bottom, you've always got a volume mixer, and then sometimes beneath that, you've got effect settings. You've always got effect settings? Yeah, always beneath that, you've got effect settings. And above, you've got instrument mods, so LFOs, etc., and ADHD. Envelopes. ADHD envelopes, yes. And then you've got groove above the passive phrase. So essentially, you can change the tick of a phrase to make it run slower or faster, so you can do half time, double time, things like that, using the tick and the PPQ. Again, it's not something I've done or looked into very much, and you can also swing phrases. And then there's a key editor. So I'll touch on keys in a second, but basically if you've loaded a key, you can then edit it. Again, not something I've looked at yet. And then we have P, which is the project data, which has tempo, the key of it, some settings around MIDI and chain links, and then sort of instrument and export and import, and then you can view all the instruments in an instrument pool, and then there's some system settings. Again, I haven't really delved into a lot of this stuff. I've basically mucked around with this, create one type big thing of noise, or one thing that makes noise, which is what's loaded. But I'm going to load a new one. So that one, no, that one. How do I wish? Sometimes it's not clear. That one. Loose changes to current song. Yeah, that's fine. Great, so we've got a new song. So the thing you'll notice is I've got some weird bars on the screen, defects. They're not supposed to be there, and if I refresh the window, they go away. So something's happened where I loaded quite a lot of samples onto an SD card and put them into this, and then I loaded some samples into that project from the SD card, and now I've got this kind of buggy thing where it's giving me those what's the word? Those defects on the screen. It might just be for that project. It might be I've corrupted it slightly when I've basically copied it from one SD card to another. So we'll see how that get on today. Right, so let's create. Do I have to create phrases first? Yeah. So you have to create something before you can create anything, essentially. Let's create a phrase. I don't want to do it there. Let's not create it there. Let's make that one. And then create something over here. I think that's 0. So when you're in this screen, whatever chain you've got selected, it then goes to that chain, and then within that chain you create a phrase. So create phrase 0, 0. So now we have a phrase, which means I can then create instruments. Nope, that one. I'm going to load a sample. Oh. I have a real habit of keeping my finger on shift and then things going crazy. Oh, it's doing the defects, right? So I haven't got rid of it. That's annoying. I don't think it does this on the handheld, but I don't think I've used it with the handheld yet since I put loads of samples on the SD card. So it may be a thing with Headless and large sample libraries. It's probably not a thing with the actual Dirty Wave M8 because, again, another thing with buying that product is you would expect more hardware resilience, or you'd expect it to behave a little bit more. What's the word? Behave in a more reliable way. Cool. Right. Let's find some kind of long loop. So you can preview samples by pressing play. I'm not sure I want that kind of thing. Interestingly, I also used a Python script to take the sample library off of my Tracker Mini and make it convert it all to be the right type of sample for the M8, and it renamed everything and gave it a different folder structure and actually made it a lot easier to navigate, which is quite nice. So it's quite fast. We could halve it. Right, I like that one. So then you've got options for how you play this. So you can slice it, you can edit it, so there is a sample editor. Which is quite nice. So I could slice it up, but I'm going to keep it as is for now. And then there's ways to play it. Oh, I don't think I can preview it though. So you've got... Hi Panda, how's your tidying going? Yeah, there's various ways to play the sample. I think I'm just going to keep it as is. Forwards, 116. And then there's things like length, detune, degrade, filter, cutoff, resonance, etc. I might come back to those. And then you can add delay and reverb, and then there's an MFX, which I think you can change what effects it is. It's currently a chorus, because apparently chorus, delay and reverb are the standard effects you get on things these days. It's what you get on the Tonverk as well. And you can alter the dry level, so you could just have the effects if you wanted to, and then we can pan it. And there's a limiter. I wonder what you can do with that. Lots of options. Don't know what they mean because I haven't really dug into it. Cool. Let's go to our phrase. Oh, we're playing. Right, I want to play. I need to change the tempo to be... that 116, so it matches the instrument. I wonder how many bars the instrument is. Right, so instrument will be that one, and the note will be that one. Let's see. Oh, good. Right, we can test something out here. So my sample is obviously longer than 16 steps. So it's playing it at the right length, or it's playing at the right pitch and in the right time, but it's looping it because it's longer than 16 steps. I think. So each of these columns in the song plays until it gets to a double dash, and then it stops. So, it doesn't stop, it loops back to the top again. So in order sometimes to have phrases and chains play like once every, I don't know, 2 or 3 things, you have to put in blanks in order for it to work. Maybe I could have put a blank in the chain. Let's do that first. No, it's not going to play that, is it? It's going to play that. How long is this? So that works. Cool. It's a weird length. Maybe it's 8. This is my first time using a long sample, so I've never done this before. It's 7. That is weird. Thanks, a guy called Joe. Cool. Right, let's go and add something else to this. Oh, hang on. F. So let's put this into... Oh, what? Into... Ah, okay, so that's what that's for. So if we go... That's one. If we go to this one, then we can change that to be F. Although it just changed the sample, interestingly. So who knows whether that will actually be in key when I try and do anything else. Let's find out. Okay, let's create a phrase. So it's not like it's a folder structure. So it's not like it's like under chain 1 you've got phrase 1, phrase 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's that you've got phrase 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then your chains comprise of those phrases. So I feel like there's a so at the moment chain 01 currently has the phrase we just created in it, so we need a new phrase 1, and then we need some instruments to put in that. So we're going to go up here and load some instruments. I'm just going to put some drum samples in, essentially. Sorry, just stopping whatever that weird noise was. Still learning keystrokes for this. But all these phrases, you sure your name Ben and not Fraser. If I had a snare and a crash loaded, I could do a drum rolling hit a crash. Oh, you can also name them. That's cool. So you can give it a more sensible name, rather than so you know what they are. The excitement of watching me load samples. This is why I don't normally do it. Hats. Can't remember how many instruments you can have, but I vaguely remember it's quite a lot. Do you want to crash? We'll come back to that. So where's our phrase? So as with all trackers, as with all trackers I've used at least, you only get one note per step. So I will probably need to create maybe kick and snare, and then from there work, and then create a hi-hat track as well, which obviously will take up another audio track in the 8, so just be aware of that. And then you can't do chords, except I believe in one of the synths you can do chords, so it's similar to the Tracker Mini in that respect. Sample Head Simulator 2026. Did you get to comment on them and comment on those samples in the game and say whether they're good or bad? Right. Panda, you should be tidying. Go tidy. Notes. Why did you change the sample? You can obviously pitch the samples if you want to. Yeah, to do funky stuff like that. I wanted that to be 3. So obviously when you put the note in, it changes the samples, so that's kind of unhelpful, but just how it is. Right, and then you end up with something like this. And then each of these has got an effect slot, so you can do funky stuff in those. I haven't worked out how to do ratchets or repetitions yet. I'm sure I will at some point. Right, so... Stop pressing shift. There we go. Don't feel in terms of composition this is as immediate as the Tracker Mini. I feel like that's easier for laying stuff down. But like this, I can't. The thing I find with trackers is it gives you stuff you wouldn't expect. It like brings different things out of you, if that makes sense. So now, stop. You've got 2 in the chain, so you get and then over here we're going to have to do chain 2 and pattern 3. Do some hi-hats. Oh. Might just do that 16th note thing. Stop pressing shift. Keep pressing shift instead of X. You can live record into this, again with MIDI input I assume, but I haven't hooked anything up to try and do that yet. And the V column, the 64, is the velocity, so there will be ways to change. Well, you can change that. Don't know if there's like a fill thing where you can get it to change between a certain thing and range, so you can modulate your hi-hat velocity to make it more humanized in a very easy way. But I'm sure I can find out. I'll have a look in the manual at some point. Yes, now we're at Hardware Sounds just said, most producers I know who use a tracker will use a chopped break and on the other kit single drum hit, so you layer the sample sufficiently and only need to emphasise an existing break. Where's the fun in that? I don't really work with breaks very much. I don't work with breaks very much. I don't know why, but I do like the tracker purely because it breaks me out of standard 4/4 rhythms. So I tend to just almost haphazardly. Hey, Tonverk downstate, nice to see you. Haphazardly lay down drum beats, and then usually what comes out sounds pretty good. So it's a great drum creation tool for me, because I kind of do it in a bit of a random way. But yeah, you get something like this. Macro synth is kind of your standard kind of your standard synth kind of thing, but it's not. But and there's basically a load of shapes which are kind of presets. Oh wow, all sorts in here. I haven't got this far through the list before. But I want a bass type thing. Triple square, source sync, square sync, source sub, square sub, butters, source square. I don't think you can change in this kind of the you can tweak things in terms of the cutoff and filter, etc., and the colour and the timbre, but I don't think it's got quite the synth instrument capabilities that the Tracker Mini does in terms of actual synthesis, which is fine by me. I'm not particularly au fait or good with synthesis, so as you may have noticed if you've watched more than one of my videos. Right, what are we doing? F. What does that sound like? Sounds like I've got a weird siren. Hey Luke, thanks for joining us. So the other thing with Tracker Workflow is off command and note repeats. So interestingly, I was expecting that to do 4 Fs in a row, and it didn't. And it didn't. How do I do an off? Oh, hello. Okay, there's an option to move things around. There are off commands, I can't remember how you put them in. But yeah, so it'll just play this F. It won't do F, 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 F. That makes sense to me. So there's no point having those because it's not going to play them. Right. In context. if you've just joined, I've done something screwy to either my Teensy or to the client, such that it does this weird thing where it leaves part of the screen behind. So I need to experiment with maybe another client and see if it's the client or with the Teensy itself, to see if it's because I've overloaded it with too many samples on the SD card. I'm sure it's a me thing. It's nothing to do with the software. I also keep pressing Shift instead of pressing X. Let's move you across there. I'm gonna filter you. And we're gonna get the song going when we do it. The mods earlier. Just checking Windows 26. Yeah. So you can basically add LFOs to stuff. Sorry. Knew I should have probably fixed that issue with the screen graphics Sorry, just catch you up on the chat. So, what we got? Oh, chorus phaser flanger. I was hoping there was going to be some kind of drive. I wonder if there is a drive still. I haven't quite figured out drive on this yet. Got degrade. But I think that's more like bit crushing. Redux is kind of, again, a similar bit crushy but drive kind of thing, but again it changes the tone quite a lot. Oh, what's colour? Okay. It's a tone control. So what's timbre? Different tone control. But through wave shaping, or changing the waveform somehow. Anyway, you get lost in just creating weird noises instead of creating other things. Do I want to do that? No, I want to create another thing somewhere else. Do I? So I'm still getting my I still get my head around where is the best place to expand and work with things. So here, if I want to say repeat that bass bit twice, I could put 2 3s in here and then have another chain underneath with something different in. But I could also go into that chain and add a 5 and a 6 and then a 7 and put something else in here. So it's it's learning to work with those building blocks and how best to do it. It's definitely something I'm still trying to do. And as I can't remember how to do off commands, I don't quite. I'm kind of limited in terms of what I can do here because until I remember that. Right, that's not going to do anything. Let's play this chain. So this is where the tracker gets interesting, because I can load in another instrument. Say percussion we got. Well, that is some kind of weird sample scratch. reverse. And then add it in here somewhere. So then the chain becomes still figuring out this thing. You had the making of a dubby wobby bass if the filter EQ is before the bit crusher thing. Pass. So there's probably something around matching your chain lengths to help do things. Right, that would make sense. If I do something like that, then this goes. I know I did wrong there. To be exact, so I have to stick in an FE. Exists. Yes. Tabla, maybe. Plorp at some point. We can do tabla. Hang on, let me just sort this out, and then I'll maybe get to that. Yeah, tone. It does need to be reset. I've done something to it. So if it's the client I'm using on the computer is a web-based one. Well, it's a browser-based one. I believe the first time you open the web page, it downloads everything to work offline. But for some reason, since I put absolute shed load of samples on the SD card in Teensy, it's doing this weird glitchy thing with the lines. But if I refresh the browser, it gets rid of them. It's not too bad when you're just going around the normal screens. When you go to the mixer screen and then back, when you've got stuff running, you get like brightly coloured stuff everywhere. I'll do that in a minute to show you. And that's annoying. But yeah, I need to either download a different client and test that, plug my Teensy into my handheld and test it to see whether it's the actual Teensy that's struggling, or yeah, and if it is, then I need to basically have less samples on the SD card, which is a shame. But yeah, Tabla, Plorp, right. So, where's the next pattern? 9. There is a way, I think, to just jump to the next available pattern, but I can't remember where that keystroke is at the moment. Instruments. None. Sampler. Right, where we go. Don't ask where these came from. Scrolling stuff on this for finding finding stuff in the instrument library or in the sample library is really fast though, because it's on a keyboard. So there's that. What are we looking for? Bass. What's it going to be under? Chord, drums, guitar, keys. If anybody sees Tabla, shout. I don't know what it's stored under. Percussion, Tabla. Right. Why is it not making any noise? Oh, my Tabla samples don't work on the M8 for some reason. That's a shame. Sorry, no Tabla. Well, they obviously make some noise because they do a waveform. Let's just select a random one. And then see if it works. Oh, phrase 09. I wonder if it's because it's too low. No, it doesn't seem to work. I don't know why that is. It's hearing something, but it's not playing something. Oh, maybe because it's really short. I loop it. How do I stop it looping if I loop it? Hang on. No, it's not working. Sorry, no Tabla. I'm afraid. for some reason the M8 doesn't like whatever is going on with those. Weird noise, though, might be quite good. I know, I love it better when it looked like it wanted to send it to level 10. Plorp. I mean, I think the noise is still working. I think it's just the tabless samples aren't working. Because I think the maybe I've broken it. Hang on. If you're going to break something, break it live on the internet, right? No, I've broken it. Fantastic. What have I done there? Bear with. There we go. Don't know what happened there, but so yeah, this is what I was saying about why using a headless is fine, but sometimes things obviously aren't as robust as if it was the actual M8 thing. There's your tabler. Oh, wait a minute. Got to get that. No. Take it, Panda. Violet or that works. So there's the start of something. Cool. I mean, hang on. It's not bad for an hour's work. Right, let's go from there. I mean, we've only used 4 tracks there as well, because the multiple instrument on a phrase thing works quite well for some of this kind of stuff where you're just going to use something in one place. So bass, how low can you go? See, I didn't really like that bass line at first, but now it's kind of grown on me a bit. I can't remember how many phrases you can have. Quite a lot, I would have thought. I want to do a nice wob wob here now. How am I going to do that? Maybe do not a tablet noise. Alright, let's try. Ooh, what? A LFO frequency 3. LFO oscillator. LFO amount. Envelope amount. Trigger settings. So basically you've got the effects columns, you've got various things you can do with them. I haven't figured it all out. Because there's things you can do with like changing stuff on the instrument. There's things you can do with the sequencer. There's stuff you can do with mods on the instrument like the LFO, etc., and the envelope. And then there's stuff you can do on the mixer in terms of delay sends and all that jazz. Cut-off resonance filter. Cut-off. Let's try this. I don't know what this will actually do or whether this will work, but I kind of know what I want it to sound like. Where did I start? C7. That did exactly what I wanted to do. Excellent. So you can do weird stuff. So basically what it's doing is it's setting the cutoff point relative to the where it's set in the instrument parameters, I believe. Which means you should be able to do a similar thing with resonance. Let's not get too ear bendy. Right, that needs more reverb. So I think the dog's shut out the room, so I might have to go and let him back in again in a second. Because he's going to get annoyed otherwise. Well, they could just push the door open, but you know. Oh, nice. That's what you meant by orb gazing, right? Hang on. Cool. Something weird going on here. So the thing I find difficult with this is timing stuff, because it can all get a bit, because chains can be different lengths, and then obviously you can stack the chains in different ways. It can get all a bit out of sync if you're not working in a rigid manner. this is where chains come into their effect. Cool. Hey Recon, how are we doing? Welcome to me trying to figure out the M8. Not going badly so far, apart from the fact I've clearly broken something somewhere in my setup. Right, how many... Right, so you can only have that many... You can only have 16 patterns in a chain. Right. That's not synced at all. Come on, there we go. Let's figure this out. needs another one. Maybe. Ba-ba-bum. O-E. Can I take 7 out of there? And just put that into there. Three, four. How many is that? Yeah, cool. Right, let's try that. Somewhere, I think. Obviously, I could vary the drums a bit more. Could go somewhere completely different from here. Yeah. Ooh, that's an idea. So I'm just going to test something, because that's what I do these live streams for, clearly. Make it up as I go along. Sample or synth? Sample or synth? What we got? Wave synth, micro synth, FM synth. Okay, that's a whole load of stuff I don't understand. This might cause me to have to learn some more things. FM synth. Okay. I understand the concept. I just have never played really with one. Will this do what I want it to do? Let's try. Instrument 09. That gives me a beep, doesn't it? Right. Filter that before it takes your eardrums out. High pass, low pass, low pass. Resonance up. Let's play that. Sorry, that's a really annoying noise, isn't it? I might have to do this as a sample. Purely because I can't remember how to do it off commands. Okay, sampler. Load sample. Low pass. Wait, what? And then reverb. Reverb up. A little bit delay. Panning we'll deal with in a minute. That's more like it. So the test is what it does with that when we play the song. Does it play it when it plays 4, or does it play it from the start? Doesn't play it at all. So, one, two, three, four, five. It says on the side pen. What right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right. So that went fine until it didn't. Seven, 6, 6. Yep. So, yeah. Again, what's the best way to make this work? I don't know. Structure-wise, I'm sure there are better ways to do what I'm doing in terms of structure. Maybe. It just feels a bit odd at the moment the way I'm doing things. Maybe there aren't. Maybe this is just how you have to do stuff in the M8. I assume that's maximum stereo width for the delay. Which then means that we do something here. Pitch, fine tune, play, not you, current instrument. Instrument mods, mixer effects, sequencer effects. I'm looking for pan. Shout if you see pan. I thought it was an option. There, pan. Cool. So that should now go. It's a pretty subtle ping pong, but kind of works. And I think in context, it'll say a lot, do a lot. Joys of glitches. Subtle, but I like it. Maybe I'll pan the ones above it as well. Do you like some panning, a bit of 3D effects, things going from one side to the other? Adds a bit of interest, doesn't it? Right. Sorry. I don't think this has, I mean it has a limiter and compressor on the Master Bus, but I think that you can do compression per instrument, which you can't do on the Jack Mini either, but obviously you can do on the Tonverk. see, this is where my inexperience trips me up, because if I then want to go into another section after that, but I want this to go round twice, I was like, oh, I just put some stuff beneath what I've already done, but of course that's not going to work because of the way that I've done this column over here. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 7, and then that. Yeah, Panda, how are you getting on with your tidying? Oh, not change 6, change 5. Z? Oh, darn it. Copied selection. And then paste. Somebody tell me what paste is. I don't think anybody in the chat actually uses the M8, so probably can't. Copied. And then there's a keystroke to do paste, but I don't know what it is. X? Shift X. Shift X? Maybe. It can't be part of the way there. Fair enough. Right. Will this play how I think this is going to play? Does that need to have that column there? That F blank? Let's see. Hey Ted, nice of you to join us. It goes out of sync, but it's close. That goes out of sync, okay. Right, let's try and sync this all back up. So that's 6. That's 6. That's 6, but went out of sync. Odd. Not that one. That's 1. That's 1. Oh, but I can make these 6, couldn't I? And the pattern lengths don't change, right? Oh, but then that makes those 6 as well. Yeah, I don't want to do that because I'd have to create a separate blank pattern that's a different, that's 1 long. Which we could do. Just need to remember that FD is also a blank pattern. Then that just needs to be the same length as this. which is 7 when it should be 6. There's a reason it's 7. No, I don't know. Let's find out. Sorry, I'm mumbling to myself. Excuse me for doing that, but thinking out loud, as it were. Oh, because I can have, yeah, a chain FD that has the pattern FE. So I only lose one pattern, but I just lose 2 chains. Cool. Right, that's good. So now everything in sync. Pale ale and cheese pie. What time is it where you are, Ted? Or are you having a liquid, a beer at lunch? Right, so just need to sort out this pattern now so it's the same length, because currently it's mega long and it needs to be 6 long. So we want the thing to do the thing on the thing. 4 and 8 maybe? Did I say 4 and 8 would work? 4 and 8 the ones to go for. So if you're watching this on the replay, I can't remember if I ticked chat replay. Hopefully I did. Hardware Sound in the chat is supposed to be tidying his train room. And I think he's procrastinating. I mean, I'm just jealous that he's got the space in his house to have a train room and a jam room, whereas I'm in the corner of our dining room, in a cupboard. So, you know, count your blessings, I guess. Although I've got this, so also that's great. Oh, no. Yeah. Get tidying, Panda. Ah, Ted, you're on vacation. And are in a European country. Ooh, yeah. Why did that not work? It's 1, that's 1. That should be 6. That's 6. That's 6. That's 6. And that is 8. That's why it didn't work. Because it's not 6. I was slightly worried that my keyboard would die during this stream. Yeah, because it's Bluetooth and it's powered by USB and I haven't charged it in ages, which would cause untold annoyance for obviously running M8 where you've got to use your keyboard to do everything. First world problems though. Oh yeah, pattern AFE is still that. Where are we putting this? Put it there. What kind of in-ears do I have and do I like them? I have, I was about to wave the packet at the camera and then realised that I'm showing my web page. I can do it to the webcam. So I got these Shure ones. They're like the SE215. They're like the cheapest of the cheap wired Shure in-ears, and I bought them second hand, which may sound weird for headphones, but they had spare tips that hadn't been used in them ages ago for not much money, and they are okay, but they do not have much in the way of bass. But they do stay in my ears and hook on okay, so they're about as good as any other kind of set of headphones I've tried. Do they protect my hearing when I use them in a live context? Do I use in-ears in a live context? I used them recently to recording drums, and I didn't feel like my hearing got completely destroyed, so yes, possibly, although I did have to turn up what was coming through them quite loud in order to be able to hear what I was playing along to. So any kind of stopping the noise of the drums probably was outweighed by the fact I had to turn up the signal in my ears quite a lot. Single driver, yes. I think so, yeah. They're not very, as I said, I think SE215s are the lowest of the low. They're cheap. They play things in my ears so that I don't get feedback through the microphone, and they let me listen to things on, listen to the laptop on the sofa when there's other people in the room, or listen to, the handheld or my Tracker Mini. They do the job. As I said, not much bass, not very expensive. I break headphones like there's no tomorrow and haven't broken them yet. So they've got that going for them. Their longevity so far has been brilliant. I destroy headphones, so yeah. Would I recommend them? Yes, if you want a cheap pair of in-ears and you're not that concerned about it all sounding amazing. Yeah, I mean, if you can avoid wearing in-ears, do. I feel like my tinnitus has got worse since I've been wearing in-ear headphones a lot to do stuff than before, but it could also be due to the fact that I do work that requires noisy power tools, so that could be causing it. Having a monitor and wearing earplugs is probably better than wearing in-ears, is my general feeling. It's obviously in situations where you can't, like here, I can't have the speakers going because you get weird reverb through the mic, so yeah, that's why I wear in-ears. Celebi. I could get a nicer pair of studio headphones which would give me more bass response, so when I'm doing stuff like this I could actually hear it properly. I used to have a pair and then they kind of fell apart, so I've never replaced them. Here endeth the story of my headphones woes. Right, where are we at? Come on, Space. Right, so that all loops fine now, which then means that I can go in and do something silly like that. Hang on. It then means I can go in and copy that section and paste it. Right? Let's try it. I should get the manual out and then I can actually learn what the keystrokes are. Yay! Shift X is paste. Right, cool. So then I can repeat it twice, and then we can do something completely different, right? I don't know what. Let's save this. What's it? No, what's that? Yeah, Tabla Solo maybe. Yeah, I used to have open backed like some Ted in the chat was saying he has quite bad tinnitus, and he switched to open headphones, and his tinnitus is more controllable now. I used to have some open-backed, I don't know why I'm waving my hands around, because you can't see them, open-backed AKG headphones, K something or other. Again, I bought them second-hand, and they were great until they weren't, and because they got slowly worse over time, I didn't notice how knackered they had got until I suddenly went, these sound terrible. So there was probably a period of time where I was mixing, in inverted commas, stuff I was working on with terrible headphones because I hadn't noticed how they were slowly degrading. But yeah, I do need to get myself a new set of probably nice headphones, although I have bought a new set of over-ear Bluetooth ones for using in the gym ostensibly and various other places. So I can't really afford to now buy another set of open-backed studio ones because it's excessive. And the other issue with open-backed headphones is the fact that they're open-backed. So if you've got someone sat in the room with you and you're using open-backed headphones, they can kind of hear what you're listening to. So it kind of annoys the rest of the family if I'm using those. Hey, Wire Baby, nice to see you. Yeah, the M8's good. I'm using it headless on a Teensy. I've done something weird to either the Teensy or the client on my computer, probably to the Teensy, by uploading essentially my entire sample library onto a massive SD card and putting it in it, which means that I'm getting weird screen glitches and have to keep refreshing the screen. So just that's where we're up to. And so far we have this. So that's where we're at. Yes, I have a Canvas Go, which is the recommended SD card, but I have a 128 gig one rather than a 64, which I think is what they said originally, or what they ship with on the actual Dirty Wave M8s. So I have what the recommended thing. I think it's possibly just because there's an absolute shed load of samples on it. Or something on my computer is not letting the client I'm using on the laptop work properly. As I said, I need to plug the Teensy back into my handheld to see if it works fine through that, and then if it is, then it's the client rather than the Teensy, and I can go from there accordingly. Probably download a different client program rather than using the web-based one I'm using at the moment. But yeah, I mean, for what, £40 for a Teensy, a 3D printed enclosure that my stepson 3D printed for me, and was it £40 for a Teensy? Maybe 35. And you can get a Teensy from AliExpress for much less than that. I just bought it from a UK site. And then a new SD card, again, another £30-40. And you've got a little box that makes noise. It's great. Okay, so the Teensy that YBaby had is knackered. Okay. But, okay, because he lent it to Panda and Panda was trying to fix it. But yeah, it's really cheap. And so about the beginning of the stream I was talking about this, and I don't know if anybody was even listening. It is really cheap, and I think the idea is that you can test the M8 workflow doing it, and then if you like it, buy the actual physical dirty M8 hardware, which obviously has warranty and should be a more robust implementation than a really cheap circuit board from the internet. But to test it out and to have a cheap knockaround thing you can throw in a bag and take somewhere, a headless and a games unit is quite nice. And also I've been playing games on the games bit, so that was quite fun. Which is I hadn't really considered. So if you're going somewhere and you don't want to take out a £500 worth piece of gear with you, a cheap Chinese game handheld, which I've got, it's like 50 quid. The Teensy's like 35 plus an SD card, so it's like 150 quid's worth of stuff, or maybe even less if you get it from AliExpress for some of the stuff. It's kind of limiting your exposure, isn't it? If you're playing a gig in a dodgy pub or travelling on a bus somewhere and you just want to make some music. And there's loads of stuff on the internet in terms of implementing it, in terms of setting it all up, all the files on the internet, and it's not that difficult to do. It's like if you can drag and drop a program into another program, you can do it pretty much. You just have to have the right tools and press the right buttons. If you've ever installed Linux and anything, then you're way ahead of the game on it, and you can probably do it in your sleep. As long as you're doing things simply. You're not trying to get full MIDI and adding extra boards to things and stuff like that, which people are doing out there. It's a nice little fun thing. And the other thing about it is the good thing, which is what I used to like about having the two, I still technically have the two, but the two tracker boxes, is the fact that you can use the mini one portably and play around on it, and then you can put it in the big one on your desk and do stuff on the computer. Well, with the Teensy, you can unplug it from being plugged into the handheld and plug it into the laptop, and it's exactly the same box. So it's just transferring one to the other is fairly straightforward. Cool. So Panda's going to fix the Teensy and do some 3D printing. You've got heat sinks. It does get hot, but since I put it inside the enclosure, I haven't really noticed the heat at all. Worth noting, the 3D printed enclosure is printed with PETG. I believe if you print it with PLA, for you 3D printing nerds, it's more likely to warp from the heat. Ted, you do not have to do any coding. You literally download a disk image file, or download a file for the M8 software, download a program that flashes it to the Teensy circuit board chip thing, and that's all you need to do. You basically select one and the other and send it across, and then it works. There's no coding involved. Which is pretty good. And there's loads of support on the internet to do it. It's a pretty good little project for mucking about with stuff. And it produces, it's only running at 44.1 kilohertz, 16-bit, but it sounds pretty good. Oh, that sounds pretty good if you don't start on the blank patch. I do have a thing where I think the Tonverk sounds better than other stuff. Like, it's obviously running at a higher sample rate. It's at 48 kilohertz and possibly 24 or 32-bit. I think 24-bit. But most people can't tell the difference between those two anyway. But I don't know if it's something to do with the in and out in the digital audio conversion elements to it, the DAC in it. It sounds better than other stuff I own. It sounds clearer and crisper. But this is obviously all going through USB. it's not got any it's not got any analog to digital conversion from the Teensy to my computer. That's all my interface to my headphones, so that's probably why it sounds pretty good. Yeah, it's great. Right, I was going to do something different, create another pattern instead of rambling about. Go hit gear. Time is it? 1:30. Yeah, I got loads of time. I mean, there's people here. We're all talking. I think I'll just carry on. Let's see. 5. So this will be pattern. Chain. Sorry, chain. Chain 6. Chain 6. It's gonna have a pattern. A phrase of C. And C is going to be something else. I feel like it needs another instrument. Oh, yeah, I feel like it needs another instrument completely. Okay. You know when you sometimes hear things in your head? And then you're like, yeah, but then how do I make that real? I just heard something in my head and now I need to make that real. So, bass. Have I got a nice bass guitar noise? Bass. Upright. Soft, hard. Let's use that. Definitely think I might need to charge my keyboard soon. Okay. Right. Bit of a Ninja Tune kind of upright bass sample. One of the things I read said basically a good way to work in the M8 is to create things beneath the song pattern. So leave a gap and then you can create stuff beneath, because you can then just play that section separately whilst you figure out other stuff around it. Chain 7, pattern E, and now we are back into kick drums. Drums. X, not shift. Right, how does that sound? And I've got to put something in here or it will play the other things. What's 3? Bass. Do. D. Cool. So, yeah. Cool. Right, so take Shift Z. Now we know how to copy things. We can copy that and paste it there. Ooh, still puts a gap. Okay, so then let's do that twice. I wonder if you can loop things. Do it 3 times. So from the top, so let's see how the transition helps. No, let's not go from the top. Let's go from here. that did not go as expected. What happened there? Oh, I know what happened there. Didn't play 6, and for some reason it continued to play 4. I don't know why. Partially know what happened there. Right. Okay, so how long did I make these? 4. I need to make this 6 long. Somehow. So, because those other things were 6, I need to make this 6 so that it'll all match up in a weird way, right? That's what I'm saying, at least. Why is that chain 00? I don't think it should be chain 00. I think it should be chain 8. Ted asking if you should get a proton or a neutron. Panda saying both, naturally, yes. I mean, the neutron's fun. It definitely using the semi-modular patch bay on it opened it up for me. I don't use it as much as I probably should. But I found that when I used it, I just used it for weird noises. Very good at weird noises. I like weird noises. So, yeah. Do. Is it a good sign if it's stuck in my head? Or is it just I've listened to it a million times already? I mean, I haven't listened to that bass line that much already, but... EF. Oh, because it's got a 0, that's why. Yeah. Hey, Y Baby's in the chat, aren't they? Y Baby. I need your help. What is... How'd you get an off command on the note column? That's my question to you. Because I need to put an off in here in this column to stop that 4 going. To stop that chain 4 running through still. I mean, I could just look for the manual, but where's the fun in that? You use an off effect on the previous page. Effect. Sequencer effects. Retrig last note. Repeat. Off. Activates the release stage of the ESSR envelope to stop playing notes. Number of ticks to stop playing notes. Cool. Nice. Let's try that. Yes, off appears to me in effect. I've got it in the note column though previously when I've been mucking around with this. I don't know how I did it, so well done. Thanks for that, Wire Baby. Still droning. I think. Oh, X, not shift. 2 steps, 4 ticks. 0 steps, 0 ticks. Oh, because it was quite high. Right, let's do that. There we go, that's how it does it. Cool, right. But I need to put it in a different pattern. Thanks for that, Mark. That worked brilliantly. But it needs to not be in this pattern. It needs to be in a pattern all of its own. Phrase. There we go. Cool. So this can be chain. No. X FC, and that's going to have create a phrase. FD, that's going to have off 10. 2 steps, 2 ticks, 4 ticks, 3 steps, 2 steps, 10. That'll do. Okay. so that will work there. But chain FC, it's going to be FD followed by FE. No, FE. Because it still needs to be 6 long. Right. And then I can put some kind of melody in here, and then I need some kind of outro element to that to get me back to where I want to be. Which one did I put the tabla in? Is that in this one? Yes. Anybody really confused as to what's going on now? Because we've got 9 chains and about to create the 12th phrase. Cool. So now I know how to paste. Did anybody see what that was on? 8? 9? Go for 9. I don't think it was 9. 4. Miles away. Okay. So one long. I'm gonna have to put something in here eventually, but for now I'm just gonna put those in to test it out. That was not the noise I was expecting, it was the one before. Okay. So maybe I put my tabla in this. 9. Yeah, it's in 9. Okay. I thought one note was a bit weird for that. Copy that. Phrase 9. How many steps is it? That many? I think so. Sorry. Okay. Thanks, Mark. So yeah, why baby just saying that long YouTube from Red Beans Recording and Myla Melodies, which is a good place to start the M8, because it put emphasis on the organisation from the outset. Yes, I need to watch that video. Needs a ridiculous sample before that tabla thing, like, you know, the from the drum and bass DJs will say anything before the drop videos. It needs a sample there, I think. I don't think I've got any vocal samples, but let's see what I have got in order to, like, basically, yeah, at the beginning of this pattern it needs something to fill that gap slightly. What did Panda say on Monday that he said it would be sampled? Maybe I need to go and sample it. Dog's woken up. When I was doing this the other day, I think I saw a sample, or I saw like a load of samples called Vox. Vox, interesting. Wet, 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 dry. Okay. Wonder what's in here. Dog's name is Piper. Why have I got all this stuff? Shall I try and learn how to slice on this? Could just oh, what? No. Slice marker. Oh, okay. Oh, hang on. What have I done there? Hang on. Cool. And just my screen glitching instead of actually knowing what was going on. Oh, okay. That makes sense. So don't think that actually did anything, did it? Okay. So I'm talking to myself whilst learning to slice. So it's you create slices and then you can play slices, right? Yeah, I'm not going to do this now. It was a nice idea, but I need to read the manual on that, figure out what's going on. Right, off. What if I do it backwards? If in doubt, do it backwards. Oh, what's going on? Oh, I know what's going on. So the issue with doing everything on a keyboard that I find is that there's no tactile feedback as to what key you've got your fingers on. So I thought I was on X when I was on Z because my fingers had shifted 2 keys to the left. Why is that now the sampler? The tabla? Who knows? Oh, because it's playing that. No, right. It's playing this phrase. I've used the synths more than the samples I make. The Active Synth Producer version of MO Braids is really good and it's easy to set up modulation to get changing sounds. Okay. Yeah, I haven't dived into the synths a huge lot. I've used Macrosynth, yeah. It's the only one I've used so far. Yeah. Because I'm not very good at synthesis, so that one kind of made sense to me in terms of it's fairly straightforward. I like that it tells you how many steps stuff the LFO works in. That's really good. That's really helpful. Gives you a lot of information. Cool. Bim, bim, bim. Right. All my other drums. Oh, no. All my other drums. C5, right. So there is an element there where it remembers the notes you played. So if you're using samples, it will do something weird, like it did there. That kind of works as a transition. In the wider context, going into that, I think it will do something. I'm trying to find trumpet or saxophone, something like that. If I just come, I'm sure it should be something in here somewhere. I mean, I could do piano or organ or something, but I fancied some brass trumpet. Here we go. Trumpet. Right, so come back to that. That was fine. This had too many notes. I think. And better. Right, let's do like a little trumpet solo thing. That is not the right noise for that. Maybe I just want to give it some reverb. Maybe. That might have too many notes, but it might work. Right. How long is this? This is chain 6. Yes. Cool. Up. So we can make this 6. But we can do something to it in a second. Let's just see if it is too many notes. So it needs a second loop that's based on the first loop. Do 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 do. This will make much more sense in a minute. Yeah. And might get quite complex. 19. Whoa, hang on. 19, 1A. Oh, because it's 6, isn't it? Okay, that's fine. 1B, 1C. Cool. So what I'm going to do, I might as well talk through it while I'm doing it, is I'm going to create... Oh, hang on. Can I just go to the next one? Going to create basically the same melody, pretty much, apart from the last one, going through the chain. And then I'm going to use the effects to alter the low pass filter and do like a sweep. Is my idea. Whether it will work or not, I don't know. Except for the last one, which might start low and go up, start high and go down. C4. That's too quick. Hang on. So then the full pattern will be... I think this needs to have a gap. Hang on. Shift Z. Copied. X. Have at least a pause in the end. That one. So that's good. So then we go to here, do effects. Can I just LFO frequency? Will that just do it? Hang on. No. That one. Current instrument. Cut off resonance. Cut off resonance filter type. Cut off. So this might be vaguely deafening. Some more notes in that one, isn't there? OA gauge, model railway and scale modelling room, where I do all my OA gauge layout work, but all my electronics are in there. Ah, train room. I didn't need to create those patterns. Okay, well, I can edit them later, right? Let's just keep it simple for now. One C is different, so 1C, hang on. The one beneath comes out at 80, so this has got to go in at so how's that sound in context? That did weird things. Okay. Oh yeah, that's fine. Right. 13. And then 09. Nope. 09. Thanks, Baby. Right. Let's try this section. Quite a that's quite a big jump back into the other stuff, isn't it? That kind of works. I'm not entirely sold on that trumpet sound, but I kind of see it. Kind of see where it's going in that respect. Is the problem with these live streams is I keep creating things and then never touching them again. So I need to come back to some of this stuff and actually refine it. Cool. Right, save. Nice. Right. It is 20. Well, just gone 25 past 2. Coming up for being online for 3 hours, which is crazy. What's it saying in the chat? Discussion in the chat about model railways and their application to MIDI control. Crazy. I bet model railways are way more complicated than they were when I was a kid, and you literally had like a transformer box that just regulated the voltage. As it says, why Baby said, people are using MIDI to control them. I mean, the train going round and triggering notes is quite similar to that orbiter thing that Why Baby's got with the magnets that triggers notes on a spinning platter. It's just obviously on a bigger track, isn't it? And I guess you could have points and all sorts of complicated stuff going on. But you need a really big pickup thing across the top of it to pick it all up. Yeah. I'm going to wrap this up now. Because I should probably do something else at home. Thank you everybody who's been here. It's been nice to hang out and create something on the M8. Yeah, and hopefully I can speak to you all again soon. I guess I'll play us out with what I've created and then press stop, and that'll be it. Although, you know, I don't want to stop at the moment because Panda's creating some kind of train MIDI controller. Right, song. Thanks all. Catch you later.